What's up, YouTube? So, I've had a lot of people in my life tell me that they don't trust themselves. And I, in the past, have told people that I don't trust myself. And I've told myself that I don't trust myself. And whenever I heard that and whenever I said that to myself, it came with a lot of anxiousness and worry and concern. Like, it's just a very tight grip on the words. Essentially, there was a tight emotion wrapped around it, very uncomfortable. And whether someone was sending that energy to me through their words, or I was just reflecting on my own. And what I've learned now over the past 5 years or so, the past couple years, is that I trust myself 100% on everything. I trust everything 100%. I trust every person, every situation that comes into my life, every event that has happened, everything around me. I might not specifically trust someone who says something, but I trust the energy that I can sense, the energy I can feel, whether they're telling me the truth or not. So I trust them as a whole, although there might be parts that are not trustworthy, essentially, or at least the energy that they're sending is a sign to not to trust myself over what the objective world is presenting to me through them. So what I've learned through trusting myself, trusting God, the universe, energy, all of life, is that people, when they don't trust themselves, they don't have a peace of mind. And when they don't have a peace of mind, life is hectic. It's chaotic. But not in in a beautiful way, not in a surprising and wonderful, magnificent chaos, but a very disorganized and a very unhappy, unpoetic, unsatisfying or dissatisfying chaos. It's very painful. You probably know a lot of people or several people, or just how many people, at least in my life, have talked about the world in general. So everyone that we don't know, or I don't know, or whoever I'm talking to, they say, oh, society is just crazy, or we live in a terrible world, or those kinds of things. And what I've come to realize, and what I'm now sharing with people, and I'm happy to share with YouTube and anyone who's listening to this, is that nothing happens by accident. That any coincidence that you see, whether it's, oh, I saw my birthday on a license plate, or oh, that person said something I was just thinking, or any experience like that, there's a million different coincidences that people talk about or that people experience. What that is the universe, God, the energy that is all matter. That is life trying to show you something. That is the flow state that you get in. So for example, I played baseball most of my life, and I pitched. And when I was pitching, I was in that flow state. People might be in the flow state when they're playing piano. They might be in the flow state when they're speaking, when they're writing a paper, when they're doing math problem, whatever their niche is or their niche is. And that flow state allowed me to just trust whatever's happening. It was what people have told me is that too many pitchers, in the baseball analogy, they get in their head. They think too much about it. If you watch any professional basketball player, they just make shots like crazy, like Steph Curry or Michael Jordan, any of those guys that are really good shooters, and they'll just make it seem so effortless. Sorry, putting the leash around me here, walking the dog. But so what synchronicity is, and what trusting yourself is, and how to do it, is just simply let go of any preconceived notions of how the world should work, and could work. And there's a lot of layers to that. I mean, down to the very basic, like, well, I have to eat, I have to sleep, I have to, go to the bathroom, I have to do all these things. It comes in different layers from, you expect, for example, a very simple one is, oh, well, every time I get to this stoplight, I expect it to be red. That's not a helpful notion. And more often than not, you're probably right. And the more you believe it, the more the universe will match that vibration and show you the red light at that stoplight that you go to every morning. So that's a very, what I would call, an outer layer of trust. So even though it's not showing you something that's beneficial, I mean, maybe it is beneficial that you hit a red light because someone flew through the stop sign, flew through the intersection. So in that sense, it's beneficial. But overall, you'd like to see green lights wherever you go. You'd like to not get stuck in traffic. You'd like to not run out of money, or not have troublesome relationships, or not have any of these negative experiences that we call negative. However, because you believe that when you get to this intersection, the light's going to be red, or because you believe that, insert your belief system or insert your expectation of how the world works, it becomes true. And so people say, oh, well, I don't have to believe in gravity for it to exist. Okay, true. But in space, it doesn't exist. If you're underwater, it doesn't exist. How does that work? I'm not saying that you're wrong about gravity. I'm just saying we might not know fully as to what gravity is. We might not fully understand how gravity works. That's, a very extreme example, of course, but back to the stoplight. So, for the longest time, I thought that this certain intersection in my town, whenever I got to, it was like, I have never pulled up to this intersection at green light. And then it started happening 7-8 years ago. I mean, I believe this as a little kid. Mom would always take me, go through this intersection, and always be red. And most of my life, first 12 years or so, it was right. Then about 7 or 8 years ago, I go through it, and it starts getting green. I'm like, oh, I was like, oh, I'm keeping this streak of this stoplight being red. And I kind of got upset about it, which is really silly. And overall in life, it's really trivial. It's a stoplight. But the point is that you have momentum built towards something, towards everything in your life. You have momentum of energy built up towards your relationships, towards your career, towards your identity, towards your friends, towards your health. You have all this momentum going in a certain direction. And energy and motion, or emotion, is always moving in some direction, somewhere, some way, somehow, for some reason. And what those reasons are beliefs. So when you see a coincidental moment, it's not a coincidence. It's something that you are unaware of. So, for example, if you see your name on a license plate, or you see your number, in your license plate somewhere else, or you hit a whole bunch of green lights in a row, that isn't just random happening. It might seem random, but it's the unconscious mind, or the collective unconscious, projected onto the world based on how people feel. So for me, I might hit all the green lights because you're in a bad mood. You might get cut off in traffic, your car might break down, etc., etc., etc. So how do we trust ourselves? How do we completely let go of everything? Trust God, trust the universe, trust energy, trust spirit, trust whatever you believe in. Trust the highest power that you call truth. What is the truth to you? Well, quite simply, it's two things. If you want to go to the most basic level, it's two things: breathing and posture. So how your spine is and the quality of your breathing is what determines how the rest of your body works, from your heartbeat to your organs functioning to the thoughts that you have, which affect what foods you eat and your sleeping schedule and your routine, and ultimately your entire life. So if you can focus on being conscious of two things that you're probably unconscious of, and I know I was for a long time, your breathing and your posture, if you can focus on being aware of those two things, it's not trying to breathe the longest or have the straightest back or anything like that, but just be aware of those two things. Just bring those two things into your daily awareness. You might begin to see the entire world around you change. I know that sounds crazy. Oh, it's just my breathing, just my posture. But what begins to happen is if you can trust your ability to not trust the world, you trust yourself on one level. You say, I don't trust myself, or I don't trust this person, or I don't trust this team, or this group of people, or this organization. I don't trust XYZ. But you trust your ability to believe your mistrust in it. So you trust yourself on one level, and you trust yourself with the ability to not have trust for people, quite simply. So if you can trust yourself on that level, why not trust that everything can go your way? Why not trust that you can have the life that you want? Why not trust that everything happens at exactly the right time, for exactly the right reasons, with exactly the right amount, no more, no less. So a lot of people realize this when they get close to their death, or when they have an extreme experience in life, like someone passes away, or they travel, or they get a new promotion, or something very extreme happens in their life. But if you can bring that into your awareness now, if you can go after the unconscious beliefs that you've programmed into yourself since birth, you can go after those rather than waiting for them to present themselves objectively. If you can go inwardly every night before you go to bed, or when you get a few moments in the morning, whenever your alone time is, you can spend a few moments in solitude, and you can conquer solitude and be completely okay with who you are. And it just starts with simple breathing and posture. That will affect your diet, that will affect your exercise and sleep habits, that will affect how you treat other people, which in turn will affect how other people treat you. All these variables and all these factors and all these facets of life. If you can just focus on your breathing and your posture, it will control how you speak to yourself, and how you speak to yourself will determine how you feel about yourself, which will determine your identity, which will then determine how other people see you, and ultimately the quality of your life. So trusting yourself starts by trusting that because you breathe, because you're alive, you have a purpose if you want, you have meaning if you want, you have love, happiness, joy, completion, satisfaction, fulfillment, abundance, desire, prosperity, all of these things, just by the simple fact that because you can breathe, you can have anything else in life. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear them, or any thoughts on this, put them down in the comments below. Appreciate you listening. I hope you have a wonderful day.